patiently, Tiana.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, hey, the floor is yours, ma'am. What are your opinions on what you heard in the audio, and
Hmm.
then we can go from there. So yeah. So what are your opinions on what you heard them say in the audio?
Yeah, so I think I have a kind of interesting perspective from this because not from a personal perspective or anything, but I was in an abusive relationship as well, but I'm a lesbian. And a lot of people will make fun of lesbian relationships like, oh, what is abuse between two women? You know what I mean? Um, or you might see, I've seen some homeboys who are big, 5'11", 6 feet, get their nose broken by my homegirl who's 5'1". So I think we can't talk about physical domestic violence without talking about the mental and emotional downfall that comes with it. Because just like Division said, you're not going to let a stranger hit you. You're not going to let a stranger talk to you any type of way. There is a breakdown process that happens, and you basically detach that person from their self. And I will say, some people might hear how you speak about this and they will consider you insensitive because you're just saying, just go, just go, just go. And I can honestly say, I had a best friend who told me the same things you did. And if it wasn't for him kind of being in my ear telling me, go, get out of there, and holding me accountable if I tried to hit her up after the relationship, I would still be there. So I think you can't really talk about physical domestic violence without talking about the emotional abuse. And when you spoke on cheating, when you were like, I know some women who will stay for abuse but leave for cheating. Personally, I feel like most women or anyone who stays around and someone is cheating on them, they are being mentally and emotionally abused in that moment. You know, Nobody with self-worth, and I was someone who didn't have self-worth. My relationship was physically abusive, emotionally, all those things. And like I said, a lot of people don't feel like that can happen between the same sex. But once like, I don't know of anyone who has self-esteem like me now that I have self-esteem, I love myself, I would never allow myself to be treated that way, right? But at one point my ex broke me down so bad. I had gained 70 pounds in that relationship. I was completely isolated from my friends. I had no friends telling me, hey Tiana, what's going on. I stopped talking to my mom because she didn't like her, and I was like, you know what, fuck you mom, I'm gonna do my own thing. You completely isolate yourself. You don't have anybody telling you to get out of that. And with no self-esteem, you'll let somebody cheat on you, you know? So I don't know of any woman who will stay for abuse, but then get upset at cheating. Usually I feel like someone who lets somebody cheat on them more than likely will let them abuse them as well. If I'm making sense, if that makes sense. Like, it be kind of, if you break somebody down so bad to where they will stay when you abuse them, cheating is kind of like, I think they'll stay too. Like they might get in an uproar about it, kind of like the Blueface Christian thing or whatever. Like she gets in an uproar about it. Oh, why are you talking to your baby mom, this and that? But has she left yet? No, no. So I don't. So I feel like those kind of go hand in hand. Like I haven't personally seen a situation where a woman is like, he beats my ass, but he can't cheat on me. I personally have never seen that. Um, I think I might have touched on all those points there.
Yeah.
Right.
What?
But
Hey, Noble,
one second.
Noble, Noble. Did you know that the highest instances of DV of all the different relationship types, man to woman, woman to man, or man to woman, man on man, and woman with woman, the highest instances of domestic violence are between lesbian couples. So it's not something we talk about.
Wow.
But if you guys look that up, that's a fact. You can Google it. Women jump on each other more than men jump on one another, and men jump on women per capita, right? Like obviously there's like only 4.8% of the country's population is gay. So it's not like lesbians account for a significant portion of domestic violence in this country. I'm not trying to say that. Right? What I am saying is per capita, right? As a total percentage of their group, they account for more abuse than any other couple type.
Right. Well,
Just
let me just say,
FYI.
let me just say real quick. I only brought that up because, we're kind of having this dynamic where it's like men
Right.
abusing women. And I feel like it's easy to kind of see that power dynamic. You know what I mean? It's kind of easy to see like how division, he brought up a really amazing example of how some older men may prey on younger women because they're more impressionable and things like that. And they use their money to kind of sway those women and get them in those situations, isolate them, get them pregnant, blah, 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 whatever, et cetera, et cetera. I only brought up my relationship and the fact that I saw a man, a close man, being abused by his short woman people because when people think about physically, they feel like, yeah, a man can physically abuse a woman without mentally abusing her. He can just hit her, right? Slap her up, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. But imagine a man who's almost 6 foot tall having his nose broken by a woman who's barely 5'1". There is something mentally and emotionally broken down about him to allow a woman of that size to break his nose in front of people and
Yeah,
act like
but a
it's
lot of
normal.
men won't. A lot of men won't hit women. Like I will not. There's no point in
Well,
me
it's
hitting a
not
woman.
about him not wanting to hit her. From what I saw was she emotionally broke him down. There were instances
Right. Sure.
when he would literally say, "Oh, I'm so stupid." Or he would literally, like, we'll be working and he'll do something so small and she will yell at him in front of everyone. And to the point where I addressed her like, "Yo, you got to chill, speak it to him like that." And I even set him to the side and I was like, "If you keep letting her talking to you like that, you're going to believe it." And he was already so far gone, he would call himself stupid. "I'm so stupid. I'm so this. I'm so that." And I only brought that up because the host was kind of saying, this isn't about a mental or emotional game. But I brought that up because without that mental and emotional abuse, that's kind of what leads up to physically abusing somebody. Like me and my ex, it didn't get physical until 2 years into the relationship, but there was a lot of mental and emotional struggle going on before then that I really didn't recognize. And it wasn't until towards the end when we got into our two physical altercations, I left. And mind you, I will say I left with nothing. I left with my dog, a bag of clothes, and my shoes. I left with completely nothing. I was homeless. I started completely over. So yes, there is a sacrifice in leaving. And I will say I got into a lot of instances where I noticed I would lay next to her after she did something fucked up, knowing I didn't leave, right? And I would say, "Damn, now I have to wait for her to mess up again before I leave." I was convincing myself like, "Damn, I didn't leave soon enough. I didn't leave when she messed up this time. So now I have to wait for her to mess up again." It's a huge mental and emotional bind that unless you kind of have someone in your ear, it's almost impossible. I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but it's without experiencing it and that damage, it's hard to explain how difficult it is to leave some of those situations. Like I said, my friend's 6'2", his girl is 5'1". He easily could have been like, "Yo, don't touch me, back up," but he didn't. Why? Because she mentally and emotionally broke him down.
I hear everything you're saying, Tiana, and I'm trying to have a real conversation. Like, I'm gonna, after 076 and O Dog, I'm gonna bring the other women that want to come up here. I'm gonna bring y'all up here because this is a topic that y'all need to be talking about. But like, Tiana, I'm listening to everything. I'm acknowledging everything. Like, one, like I said, me personally, Tiana, I just haven't heard many women say that they've stayed with a man that was cheating on them for years. But I've heard you hear women all the time talk about their past relationships or with their ex-husband and how he was abusive to them for years. So
But
that's
are
just
those the
very
same women?
what.
Are those the same women? That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the same type of woman who would be abused would stay for a cheater, if that makes sense. Like,
Okay,
because
okay,
I feel like cheating is a form of abuse,
okay.
So
And with the whole, you said when you left your ex girlfriend, you left with nothing. Were you working when you were with your ex girlfriend?
if I wasn't, nobody was. Yeah, of course, I definitely was. I was working the entire time, and that's what kind of made it even worse because, well, Division made a good point. He said that when you try to leave an abuser, they will make it so you can't. And that's in more ways than one. Like how he said, when you try to do positive things for yourself, that person can break you down. That's absolutely true. When I tried to start going to the gym, she would, "Where you going? You cheating on me, whatever." When I tried to save money, "Oh, what you doing with that?" Blah, blah, blah. It's not as easy as just like, "Oh, just save your money and leave." When someone has that hold on you, it's not, it's a little more difficult to kind of make that happen. But
Yeah.
I literally left with nothing. I had a job, yes, but I left with nothing. Yeah, I left with absolutely nothing.
Did
And
you
if it
have
Well, I
wasn't for my
want
friend
did you
telling
have
me,
family or anyone to go to after?
I went to my mom.
Because
She,
I'm sorry,
huh?
I don't like when we have these conversations. People make it seem like they don't got no fam. Like I have two sisters. God forbid my sisters are in any of those. I have a sister that's older than me. God forbid any one of my sisters are in a situation like this.
Mm-hmm.
They can call me. I will go get them. Like, do people not have phones? Like, there's just
Well,
no
see, here's the
resources. There's
thing.
domestic violence shelters. Like, what's really
Right.
going
Okay.
on?
Well, this is the thing. I don't want to keep using my personal example because I don't want to monologue. But when people are in abusive relationships, more than likely they're being isolated, right? So, you're not calling your friends, you're not calling your family. And sometimes a lot of families and friends, they will see this partner that you're with and they don't like them, right? So you're so blinded by the love that you have for this person, you don't see that they're abusing you. You don't see that they're a bad person. So instead of turning to your family, you're going to turn against them. You're going to be like, they don't know. You see it all the time. Oh, y'all talking about him. You don't understand him. They think you're a bad guy. They think all this and that. Or even the partner will say, your family hates me. They don't like me, blah, blah, blah. And they will literally convince you that your family, for trying to reach out to you and get to you, are being like bad people. Like they'll isolate you from your family. Like they don't want you to be with me. They don't want you to love me. They think I'm a bad person, blah blah blah. They will literally gaslight you and convince you that those people who want to help you are bad people. And there it comes to a point where your family's going to stop trying, right? They're eventually going to stop trying. She don't want to leave him. She just going to stay. She just going to say blah blah blah. And I did have family. I do have family. They tried. I shut them out because I was so convinced that who I was with was right. I didn't care about what anybody else had to say. And that can happen. A lot of people and imagine if I moved out of state, like Division was saying, move out of state. Some people, they don't have that. You know what I mean? They don't. And my mom, we didn't speak for almost a year. But when she saw me leave and she saw my condition, she did let me come home, but she didn't go get me. I had to leave. My mom was not going to come between me and my ex and pull me out of that house. I had to leave on my own accord, but she was there to help me when I left. So sometimes, you're blinded. You're like, why you talk about my man? Fuck you. That's my man, blah, blah, blah. You don't realize that shit in the moment. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you think your family is the enemy for trying to get you to leave that person. Sometimes that happens.
Okay.
It's a mental and emotional struggle. And honestly, this is so subjective. It's so much more to it. You can't even really pinpoint. All we can keep doing is coming up with examples and examples, but it's too deep. It's too deep.
Thank you, Tiana. You can go ahead and mute up. I'm gonna have
Mm.
these other two men talk, and then there's other women that want to come up here. So,
Okay, well, I'm about to chief up. I ain't gonna cap on you. Good conversation. I will be back in the comments. Y'all have a good night.
all right. Thank you. I appreciate you. You have a good
Uh-huh.
night.